So now we need to work on turning this circle into a dimensional sphere, all right? We can use the B pencils. We're gonna look at using the stub today. And I'm gonna get, we're just gonna use 2B, that's right. Because we use 2B for the rest of this. Typically when you shade something, you're most likely you're gonna use more than one pencil. But in this case, we're just gonna use one pencil just because we've been using that same pencil throughout this whole sheet. But we'll be able to use our stub as well, all right? And I don't want you erasing anything yet. We don't need to erase. Don't be in a hurry to erase things. We wanna keep any mistakes visible to help us in the learning process. Okay, this isn't a final project, we're learning here. Okay, like I talked about the learning zone. We're in that learning zone right now. So looking at this and looking at this and looking at where I had to put this on this paper, what we're gonna do is this shadow here, I'm gonna put my shadow on this side. So I'm gonna reverse my highlight. So instead of my highlight being on the left, I'm gonna put the highlight on the right. So my highlight's gonna be here, my light source is gonna be coming from here, which is gonna cast the shadow over here. I think the first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and put in roughly where my shadow is gonna be. So if it comes out roughly the middle, kind of drops down, and then it comes out of the middle over here, just below the middle on that side. So we don't want to put it too high. We put it too high, it's going to look like a really weird shadow and wonder why it's there. And keep it kind of an oval form. We don't want it to be real circular. We don't want it to be flat. Like that's pretty good. I could probably shorten that up a little bit right here. And again, I'm not erasing. There's a mistake here. There's an extra line I don't need. I'm not hurrying to go erase that. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. We can erase things at the end if we need to. So now what I'm gonna do is, what we need to do is build our values like we did here, right? So dark to light. And I believe I said in the other video that this could be darker, but again, we're only using the 2B. And we don't wanna just add pressure because then it'll end up looking shiny. We don't want it to look shiny. So it's all about layers. First, when I'm doing this, everything needs to be in a circle form, and then as it gets closer to the middle, everything's still a circle. This is a circle. Your highlight is a circle. You're not gonna have a square highlight on a round surface, okay? It's going to be a circle. So look how high on this one that the dark goes up, and it goes all the way up to about here. So there's a small portion here that isn't the darkest value, but it goes up pretty high. And then the next range of value goes up even higher. Then the next range of value goes up even higher. It's actually going all the way around at this point. So maybe I'll show you at the end what some common mistakes are. So what some look, that turn out kind of weird when they don't have that circle value, when they don't end up going all the way. Maybe I'll show you a few things to avoid. But for now, what we need to do is we're gonna start slow. We're gonna start small, and we're gonna work our way towards our highlight, okay? So you don't ever wanna start real close to your highlight because it's a really quick transition. So we wanna start kind of far away. And remember, hold your pencil back a little further. We're working on layers. We don't need to go black right off the bat, okay? Don't rush into anything. And I'm just doing kind of a small strip like I did up on this part. I did a small strip across to make sure it was good before I went on. And I'm kind of doing that same thing here as well. I'm gonna try and rotate my pencil in my hand the best I can without losing it, or without making anything too dark. See, we're starting to fade already, which is fine. We're gonna fade and fade, and I'm gonna show you how to use your stub as well. So anytime you're using your stub and you need to drag value, you don't need to take the value all the way up to where the highlight is and then stub, because then you'll lose your highlight, because that stub is gonna end up dragging that value right into your highlight. We don't wanna do that. So we're gonna start off small and short. So we're gonna keep this kind of small and short. In a stub, if you end up overusing your stub, everything will look gray. You will lose that black dark value that you're going to need on the outer edges for the transitions if you just stub the entire sphere. That's not going to make a whole lot of sense. We've got to Do it slowly. So nice and slow. I'm working my way. You don't ever want to do really long strokes. You'll end up seeing those strokes. And you don't need to move real fast. This is not a real fast process. This is a slow process. You want anything to look good and you want it to look right, look real, you're going to spend time on it. Patience is a virtue, but patience can be learned. I want to get a little darker up here at the top. And the stub does a couple things, but we don't want to overuse the stub. In this case, we want to use like the pencil 80% of the time, the stub 20%, or maybe even 90-10. We don't want to overuse the stub. We don't want it to just be one big gray ball and not have any dark darks and light lights. We still need to have this same kind of look, just without the transition lines. Got to have it blended. So I'm not going to go any closer up here right now because I could possibly just use the stub for the rest of that value. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way around first, and this shape, this white space when I'm done, should look like a circle. If this does not look like a circle, then we've got a problem and we need to make it look like a circle. I'm going to have to turn my paper a little bit. You're going to have to do that on round objects for sure. You're going to have to be able to make sure your paper is mobile so you can rotate it and get that desired look that you're needing for that whatever particular project you're working on or exercise you're working on. And I already know that I'm going to have to go back and make the edges darker. But again, I am working with a 2B, so I'm not going to be able to get super, super dark. I'm just adding layers, little layers at a time, small strokes, and then pressure, easing up on the pressure. Okay, so we've got kind of that circle shape going on right now. I just need to keep going around, all in due time. It's going to take some time. And this darker area, this darker rim, just like this, should start off thick and then trail off and get thinner on both edges, okay? Every once in a while, I'm looking at here to see if I've still got a circle going on. Okay, so I want to look at this white space here and see if I've got a circle going on, which I've got a little bit more value to pull over here. Nice and easy transition, nice and light, okay? Yeah, it's a pretty good circle that's inside there. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the stub. So I spent a lot of time on just value. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna take, and you can see there's some graphite already on here, and you can see graphite comes off. You don't want this to be heavy in graphite when you're going to do a light area. So you can wipe this on another sheet of paper, or if you have a really low grit sandpaper, you can kind of rub this on the sandpaper to get the graphite off. You don't want to over do that because this is just compressed paper and it's rolled up and it's not really even sticky. Just this top layer has been like, put an adhesive is on under this, but as soon as that starts coming up, the whole thing will unravel. So you never want to over sharpen on the sandpaper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit back a little bit, kind of in the middle before the edge. I don't want to start on the edge and I don't want to start way over here. I want to leave this dark. I'm going to start right in the middle and I'm going to start doing kind of a circular motion back and forth and start pulling value this way. And if I don't grab much, then there's nothing much to grab and I've got to go back and add more graphite. Okay, and we want to keep that motion circular. And start slowly pulling some of that value. small strokes back and forth. We want to make sure that we get all the way around it with some sort of value. Again, we want to try and make sure that we see a circle here. And we want to make sure that it fades well. And we don't want it to end in a harsh line, like basically a gray to white. We want it to be or even a black to white. We want to make sure that we fade this off in a way that it's very gradual. And don't draw a circle here to know where you have to end for your highlight. I see a lot of kids do that and it ends up looking really strange because they can't get lighter than that dark line that they put in the middle there. So we want to make sure that we don't outline where our highlight's supposed to be. It's kind of counterproductive. And again, I haven't even used an eraser yet, and I'm hoping I don't have to. And try not to work from the light part down. We always want to make sure we're pulling from the dark and going towards the light to make sure that we're good there. I think you guys get the gist of this. You understand the concept of what I'm trying to do. You just have to make sure that you stay focused, stay in the round. I'm gonna go back now and sharpen this up a little bit. I'm gonna actually use a 4B. Oh, actually no, I'm only using 2B on this example. Normally you'd be able to use all the different pencils, whatever pencils it took to make this look as good as you need it to look. But for the point of this exercise, we're gonna just stick with the 2B. And I wanna go back and just make some things darker. Since I blended a lot of things out, I wanna make the outer edge a little sharper, a little darker, have that contrast. I'm not pushing really hard. I may push a little harder on the outer edge and then I ease up on my pressure. I can't show you that I'm easing up. I just have to tell you that I'm easing up. You have to get the feel of how the pencil works for yourself. And when I tell you to ease up, you're easing up, you're taking it lighter and lighter and lighter. And we just want to make sure that we have a nice flow, nice transition. Again, you don't even need the stub if you do it right. If you use the right pencils, you use the right technique, the stub is just secondary. It's not even always necessary. But we want to make sure we don't end on stub if we do use the stub, because stub just kind of blends things out and makes things look almost all the same if we don't use it right. So we don't want to rely on it. We don't want the stub to become a crutch. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and add my shadow. I already got my line made up. Again, I'm still going to take it slow. I'm not just going to scribble the whole shadow. I'm going to take it slow, build my values. I don't want to have any weird transition lines. And I'm building values. You notice I'm not just scrubbing the pencil really hard back and forth to make something look dark. Take your time, relax. No prize for being done first. This isn't a race. And we need to make sure that this value is slightly darker than that value. Okay, I think for a 2B, that's about as dark as I'm gonna be able to get that without really pushing it. Again, we don't wanna push really hard because we don't want it to just end up shiny. That looks pretty close to that same value. So I'm gonna stick with that. That's my sphere. I guess that's about it. Hopefully you understood what it is we were going for. All right, so again, this was all done in 2B pencil. The whole thing top to bottom. Again, you can do it in different values. I wouldn't go down into the H's because you're really not going to get anything black or anything really dark. Everything's going to be really light. You can start at the 2B, do a 4B, 6B if you want. Otherwise, you can try mixing those together and see what you can get with using 2, 4, and 6 for doing this entire thing. And I bet you anything, you'll be able to get a little further, you'll be able to get a little darker, and you'd get closer to that 100 value. Closer, not necessarily exactly. So, all right. Thank you for watching.